screen for today's headlines. We encourage you to listen and watch the Elliot Harding interview from Friday. I thought Elliot Harding did a heck of a job. Got a lot of positive feedback on that Elliot Harding interview. That's wherever you get your podcasting content. Mr. Harding is not on today's show, but we do have a lot of topics that we will cover on the program. How about this little nugget of information? This on CNBC today. David Gully is an economics professor at Bentley University. He said the estimated cost of the United States making a penny is around 3 cents. It costs 3 cents to make a penny, a 1 cent penny. Make it make sense, Judah. Make it make sense. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about a UVA Wise professor in the crossfire. Do you have beef with what the UVA Wise professor posted on social media, Judah?
100%.
Okay, we are not live on the group. I really want to get live. Oh, I think it just went live on the group.
Yeah.
You have 100% beef with the UVA professor trying to dox, and you put in perspective who he was trying to dox, Judah.
I have a problem with anyone trying to dox anyone. This is like, I want to say it's childish behavior, but it's far, far worse than childish behavior. We're talking about, imagine if somebody went to all of your enemies and gave them your address and your children's names and where they go to school, and that's just, it's despicable behavior no matter who's doing it.
I've been in a similar crossfire as host of the I Love CVille show, Judah.
Then you understand.
I do understand firsthand what this is like. As someone who's been in that crossfire. Like and share the show. Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. You're going to give us the who, what, when, where, why on the UVA Wise professor. Okay, awesome. I also want to talk on today's show about the follow-up for the call for offers on the Dewberry Hotel. It was set as the 9th of January. Are we to understand that no offers were made on the Dewberry? The Daily Progress had breaking news in January, early this year, about the listing agents having a call to offer for the Dewberry Hotel. What materialized with that story? And speaking of the Daily Progress, the newspaper has faced a cybersecurity attack, which has crippled the publication. We're talking unable to print the newspaper and release the online laid out edition. Subscriber information at risk. The parent company, Lee Enterprises, finally speaks and highlights that it is basically at the mercy of a cyber attack, and subscriber data is potentially at risk. We'll talk about that today on the program. I mean, is this the final nail for the paper of record in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Central Virginia, ladies and gentlemen? I want to talk about that today. Like and share the show. Judah, which headline most intrigues you? How about the school resource officers? Even school board members are saying, guys, we need to get the school resource officers back in the school. And still activists in our community are saying, we don't need the school resource officers in the community. The Albemarle County Republican Party released an e-newsletter today, a newsletter led by interim chairwoman Nancy Muir, highlighting how that organization will utilize its political influence to push for school resource officers in Albemarle County Public Schools.
Nice.
So a topic back very much in the news cycle. We'll talk a judge refusing to recuse himself. Mm-hmm. Judge Worrell refusing to recuse himself in the new zoning ordinance lawsuit. And how about Andrew Rohde over his last 12 games, 67 assists and just 8 turnovers, as Virginia basketball seems to at least be turning the corner a bit. We'll talk about that today. Judah Wickower, things are looking quite good on our end. Are we live on LinkedIn there, J-Dubs?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent work, Judah. We can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Monday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. A pleasure to connect with you before what is supposed to be Snowpocalypse 2.0 tomorrow, depending on what news source you follow. We're getting anywhere from some rain and some drizzle to a foot of snow. Hell of a delta right there. Tomorrow we may have rain and some drizzle to a foot of snow, depending, ladies and gentlemen, on the news source you follow. I had a conversation with a gentleman in our CPA's office this morning, and we both kind of shrugged our shoulders and said, we'll see what we get. We were trying to plan the production schedule for tomorrow and Wednesday, and some of the talent on the network. I said, guys, how in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia can we predict what's going to happen? How can we predict what's going to happen? And in a world that we live in, guys, we have few jobs that allow us to basically be right 1 out of 4 times or 1 out of 3 times and keep our gigs. You have a professional hitter, a Major League Baseball player. If he comes up to the plate and he reaches base 1 out of 4 times or 1 out of 3 times, he's going to maintain his job and maybe get a long-term contract. The other job that I can think of is weather forecasting. Those are the only 2 gigs I can think of in America or in our world today when you could be right 1 of 4 times or 1 of 3 times and keep your paycheck. Time will tell tomorrow. I'm very curious to see how the schools respond to the weather that's in the forecast. A lot we're going to cover on the program. We have a professor at UVA Wise that is in the absolute crossfire. The Daily Progress reports today that he's been removed from the website, from the UVA website. His employment position, Donald Leach, the associate history professor, who has utilized his platform on social media to call for his followers to dox Elon Musk staffers. The organization, the Department of Government Efficiency, that's been very much a talked about organization in media. He utilizes the associate professor from UVA Wise, his social media, to call for his followers to dox the cost-cutting initiative group, the Department of Government Efficiency. Interestingly, his name has been removed from the roster of staffers at UVA Wise after the TikTok platform, the TikTok social media group, Libs of TikTok, which is a far-right organization, group, contingent, whatever you want to call it, shared a screenshot of this UVA professor's commentary. The UVA professor then tries to delete his post, but hey, not so fast, my friends, in the words of Lee Corso. The Libs of TikTok have the receipts and screenshotted his post. I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have a problem with an associate professor at the University of Virginia College at Wise using his social media in off hours? Let's just assume it was not during the workday, to ask his followers to dox, and doxing is the act where you post people's names, their home addresses, their work addresses, and sensitive and private information about an individual. It's far more significant than just tagging people's names in a social media post. Do you have an issue with this UVA professor asking his followers to dox some of Musk's henchmen and the Department of Government Efficiency? That'll be a topic on today's show. I want to talk on today's show a follow-up. Where are the offers? There was a call for offers on January 9th for the Dewberry Hotel. There was a big expose in the Daily Progress. The listing agents who sold Keswick Hall, who sold the Cork Hotel, they reached out to the Daily Progress and said, we got a story for you. We're going to set a deadline for January 9th. We're going to try to sell the Dewberry. John Dewberry has finally given us permission to sell this skeleton on the downtown mall. And the 9th of January is our call for offers. We haven't seen an ounce of follow-up on this story. Why have we not seen follow-up? Why have we not seen follow-up? And speaking of the Daily Progress, the parent company of the Daily Progress, Lee Enterprises, and guys, Lee Enterprises, to say they're on the last leg is just a significant understatement. Perhaps I can ask Deep Throat to give us a little intel or insight on where Lee Enterprises stands right now from a financial picture standpoint. This company, which owns papers all over the Commonwealth of Virginia, faced a cybersecurity attack. And this cybersecurity attack has been so crippling of Lee Enterprises and the Daily Progress and its other newspapers. Holly Foster, who's watching it in Henrico, says the same issue is happening with the Richmond Times-Dispatch, probably the paper of record for the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Richmond Times-Dispatch. This cyber attack has been so crippling that the newspapers can't print the newspapers. They can't print the newspapers. They can't get the news to their subscribers. Furthermore, Lee Enterprises has indicated that subscriber data, God knows what this is. Is it credit cards? Is it addresses? What kind of data breach did we have with the subscribers is also in the crossfire with this cyber attack. Are we looking at the final straw here for the paper of record in Central Virginia? I want to talk about that on today's program. Also on the show, we're going to talk school resource officers. Elected officials are saying school resource officers should be back in the hallways. Elected school board officials. It's not just Superintendent Dr. Royal Gurley. It's now school board members. And they are facing resistance from the Gillikin gang and from activists in this community that say school resource officers are the first step of the pipeline to prison in public schools. I want to unpack that on today's show. How about Judge Worrell refusing to recuse himself from the new zoning ordinance lawsuit, despite the fact that his wife, his partner, his married significant other is an activist fighting for more housing in the city of Charlottesville. He says, this isn't a conflict of interest for me. Sure, I sit at the breakfast nook and the breakfast table, and I enjoy some coffee, some tea, some crumpets, maybe some meatloaf for dinner, maybe a glass of red wine. And yes, we break bread together. Sure, we watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Maybe we stream some Netflix or some Paramount Plus and binge watch some Yellowstone together. But hey, it's not a conflict of interest. I can independently offer my perspective on this new zoning ordinance lawsuit. We'll talk about that on today's show, ladies and gentlemen. A lot I want to cover on today's program. How about this little tidbit of national news for you, the viewer and listener? There's an economist, a professor at Bentley University named David Gully. He estimated the cost of making a 1-cent penny. I can't even say this with a straight fucking face. This guy, David Gully, says it cost the U.S. 3 cents to make a penny. Yeah. Around 3 cents to make a penny. It cost the United States 3 cents to make a penny.
That's not as crazy.
That is
as
insane. There's 114 billion pennies in circulation. According to the Federal Reserve, there's 114 billion pennies in circulation, or $1 billion, $140 million. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, that's a lot to take to the...
There's $1 billion, $140 million in circulation. How many people can...
That's a lot to take to the Coinstar.
A lot to take to Coinstar. A lot to take to Coinstar.
Okay, but let's put that in perspective. Would we expect a $10 bill, a $20 bill, and a $100 bill to cost different amounts to produce?
I'm still stuck on the fact. Are you on a two-shot?
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the fact that it costs 3 cents to make 1 cent.
I know.
It costs 3 cents to make 1 cent. This is effing bananas. We are living in bananas world here.
Okay, but think, what if it was a gold coin? It would still cost more than it's worth to create, because if the coin is worth the amount of gold that's in it, then it still costs money to mint it, however that works. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. But when I say on a microphone, I can't even keep a straight face. It costs the U.S. 3 cents to make 1 cent. Yeah. Effing insane. The world we're living in right now. So much to cover on the Monday edition of the I Love CVille show, which is just, I'm floored right now, including the internet driving significant home values in the Charlottesville area. As broadband and as the internet becomes more ubiquitous and consistent and readily available, it is creating significant wealth for homeowners. In particular, homeowners that have otherwise lived in outer counties where broadband and consistent fiber was a pipe dream. Now as that consistent broadband, it becomes a reality, their home values are upticking significantly more in value. Judah has those statistics for you on the Monday edition of the I Love CVille show. Judah, we'll give some love to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 60 plus years in business, not just 60 years in business, 60 plus years in business. Just got Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, a beautiful e-commerce website where orders are coming in. John Vermillion, the best sideburns in the business, John Vermillion. Andrew Vermillion, the third generation owner that's taken over for John. East High Street, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply guys, is doing business the right way, the honest way, the communicative way. Love the Vermillions. Judah Wickhauer, I weave you in on a two-shot and ask you the same question every day. Is it the fact that it cost us 3 cents to make 1 cent, the headline that's most intriguing to you? Is it the fact that a judge is unwilling to recuse himself from a lawsuit when it comes to zoning, despite the fact that that judge shares a pillow and a comforter and some blankets with his wife, who is actively campaigning for the new zoning ordinance and more housing? Is that the story that's most intriguing to you? Is it the fact that a UVA professor is utilizing his platform to ask his followers to dox other Americans? To dox other Americans. Is that the headline most intriguing to you? Where do you want to begin today on this glorious Monday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville?
I think I'm most intrigued by this whole UVA wise professor and some of the crazy stuff. I mean, there are people defending him, saying that he's exercising his First Amendment right.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that here. I absolutely want to talk about that. Why don't we'll lead right there. Put the lower third on screen. And as we put the lower third on screen, you can give us the who, what, when, where, why on this. Viewers and listeners, we work hard for you. The only thing we ask you to do is to hit the like button or to share the show. Join us in the conversation. Ask questions, push back. We don't want you to even agree with us. I don't care if you agree with us. Disagree with me if you want. Join us in the conversation, like and share the show, and push back on us, ladies and gentlemen. Judah, the show is yours. The who, what, when, where, why on what I also find a very intriguing story.
So this was obviously recent. The UVA Wise history professor Donald Leach. He's facing pushback after posting online that Musk's Doge team should all be doxxed. And for those that don't know, doxing is the act of malicious publication of personal information.
People's home addresses, their phone numbers, their email addresses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Information about
their kids,
husbands, wives,
where they work,
children.
Where they go to school. The stuff, the information you don't want out there.
Yeah. Including home address, phone number, email address. I mean,
This guy, this UVA professor writes on social media, dox them, deal with them, and shares a link with the names of 6 engineers that Musk has hired in his Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah. He was, outed, so to speak, by libs of TikTok, and since then, it's attracted 800,000 views
and 1,100 replies.
And this guy has wisely taken down the post,
But they have the receipts.
but it's too late. And now people are calling for his termination or arrest, which I find there's so much outrage on both sides, and it disturbs me. Like, people just cannot interact like adults anymore. I don't approve of what this guy did, but I'm not going to go out like telling everyone I know that UVA should take away his job. And, it may not be doxing the guy, but trying to ruin someone's life is not that far off from exactly what you're being outraged about. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong at all. I don't think you're wrong at all. This guy teaches medieval history. He's a medieval historian. He's been employed at UVA-Y since 2008. His photo and contact information have been removed from the college's Department of History and Philosophy faculty and staff webpage.
Maybe so he can't get doxxed.
Maybe so he can't get doxxed. You stole the right out of my mouth right there. His name and email address still appear on the UVA Public People Search website. He's not responding to phone calls or emails from media. UVA-Y's spokeswoman Deborah Duddy said the college is aware of the situation. Here's what it comes down to. And I have this conversation with my son. I've had this conversation with my son recently. Is this my one shot here with you?
Yeah.
And okay. Why don't you go me on this one shot, and then I'll weave you back in on a two, okay? Mm-hmm. Vanessa Parkhill has very, very wonderfully or poignantly put this on previous shows. We have the right to freedom of speech.
Yeah.
We as Americans have a right to say what we want. Mm-hmm. And it makes our country the best country. It's one of the elements of our country that makes it the best in the world. Mm-hmm. There's so many qualities that make this country the best in the world. And one of them is our ability to speak against the government, to say what's on our mind. But as Vanessa Parkhill has said on this program many times, the Queen of Earlysville, you can say what you want, but there's always consequences with what you say. And when you are a university professor, you, whether you want to admit it or not, are always representing your employer. Always representing your employer. Mm-hmm. And social media in 2025, if you don't realize this, you're living in a cave. But social media in 2025, when you write something and you publish it on your Facebook page, your Twitter page, your LinkedIn account, whatever social media platform you like to use, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever the hell it is, it's like you said it yourself. Or it's like you wrote it on a piece of paper and mailed it to the newspaper to publish or the TV station to air on the 6 p.m. or 11 o'clock news. That's what publishing on social media is today. And this professor has legitimately put himself in the crossfire because he did not realize that concept. And he doesn't realize that concept, and he's teaching, ladies and gentlemen, our children and the future of our country. Okay? Shame on him. Shame on him. Do I think this man should be arrested for this? No, I do not. Do I think he should be... Are we having connection issues?
I don't think so.
Are we good? Do I think he should be encouraging his followers to dox Musk's henchmen? No, I do not. Is he at risk for losing his job? Absolutely, yes, he is.
He may be.
Judah Wickhauer, thoughts on this topic?
I mean, people aren't wrong. You do have a First Amendment right to say whatever you want. I mean, you want to call for people to go burn your neighbor's house down, you can do it. But come on, can we have the civility that we ask in others? I mean, this is like basic. This is one of the basics that we teach our kids, right? do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, when you're calling for not just doxing other people, but when you're calling for, whatever horrible things to happen to people because you disagree with them, would you really want those things to happen to your family or to yourself?
As someone who's been in that crossfire, absolutely you do not.
Right. Can we
Firsthand been in that
can
crossfire.
we just have a little self-reflection and stop before before posting really hateful stuff? I mean, I think so much. Obviously, we've got a great divide in our country right now, and I think most of us would be surprised. A lot of us would be surprised to find out how close we actually are. There are more people. We've probably mentioned this on the show before. There are more people milling around in the middle than there are on the fringe edges, calling for others to publicly humiliate, stalk, take identities, target for harassment. Like, most of us, that just doesn't pop into our heads. Like, if I don't like something that you do, it doesn't immediately occur to me, I wonder how I can completely and utterly ruin this person's life. Like, does that sound normal to anyone?
There's a thread on Reddit over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And the thread on Reddit over the weekend was trying to pinpoint the political affiliation of the owners of Far Downers Restaurant in Crozet. This is the second similar thread I've seen in the last 2 weeks on Reddit, where folks on that platform are trying to dox small business owners and their political affiliations and use that against them in a boycott fashion.
Yeah.
The second time this has happened on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. And you 100% can choose to not support someone whose politics you disagree with. But when it enters the domain of hate and just spitefulness, I mean, it personally makes me feel a little bit sick. The fact that I live with people that are so quick and so easily able to imagine doing these kinds of things, to just be hateful human beings.
I don't think I'll say it again before we go to the next topic, and then we'll go to Matthias's comments on the Daily Progress, Conan Owens' comments, Bill McChesney's comments, Deep Throat's comments. I do not think that the UVA professor, Donald Leach, should be arrested for what he posted on social media.
No.
Okay. I 100% think that Donald Leach should be able to use his platform to say, we need to dox these people and deal with them. Do I find that behavior deplorable, Mr. Leach? Yes, I do.
Despicable.
Do I find it despicable, Mr. Leach? I find it cowardly, Mr. Leach. Some would say Leach-esque behavior from you, Mr. Leach. Do I think you're at the risk of losing your job, Professor Leach? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. In 2025, whether we want to admit this or not, what we post on social media is a reflection of our employer. And our employer can utilize what we post on our social media against us from an employment status standpoint. And if we're not aware of that in 2025, then, ladies and gentlemen, you are not living in today's reality. And evidently, this medieval history professor is living in medieval times, where he thinks his behavior on Facebook can run unchecked. It certainly cannot, Mr. Leach. Our next topic, Judah Wickower, what is it on the Monday edition of this program?
How have we not heard about any offers?
And before I do, Bill McChesney's photo on screen. He says the act of doxing is reprehensible. I don't know what all these people are afraid of besides losing their jobs. There have been dubious things revealed already. I have a feeling it's just the tip of the iceberg. Matthias John says, what?
Matthias John.
Matthias John. I'm sorry, Matthias. I knew that. Matthias John, one of the key contributors for Today Manana, and one of the star realtors in the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors footprint. One of the top performers at Wiley Real Estate Partners. He says the online version of the Daily Progress that I usually get via email at 5 a.m. every morning is no longer coming. He also adds that Holly Foster adds that Henrico, the Times Dispatch, is having the same issue. The paper is about half its size. They may as well stop printing it and go online. Happy Monday. She's talking about the cyber attacks on the Daily Progress there and Lee Enterprises, which we will get to in a matter of moments. All right, the next topic I want to get to is something that was reported in the newspaper. And I saluted the newspaper for a job well done on this. The newspaper got a scoop on the Dewberry Hotel. You had commercial real estate brokers. And these commercial real estate brokers reached out to the Daily Progress and said, we have a story for you. We are going to list the Dewberry Hotel. We now have approval by John Dewberry to sell this ugly skeleton structure that's on the downtown mall. And they reached out to the newspaper and they said, we have a call for offers, a deadline of January 9th. All offers must be in before January 9th. And they published it. They did a hell of a job with this story of the Daily Progress. It's been a month since the 9th of January. Why haven't we seen a follow-up? Why haven't we just had some kind of follow-up story? We reached out to the commercial brokers. They said, we have not gotten any offers. We reached out to the commercial brokers. They gave us no comment. We reached out to the commercial brokers. They said they have offers and they're considering them. Good night. It's been a month. This is basic journalism. You paper the trail with brokers reaching out to you saying, we have a deadline of the 9th of January for offers. And then there's no follow-up coverage on one of the most important pieces of real estate, underachieving real estate in the entire city?
Yeah.
What are we paying for here? Are we paying for subscriptions to risk our personal data? Maybe that lower third should be put on screen. The cyber attack. Put it on screen there, J-Dubs. Lee Enterprises, the parent company of the newspaper, says this. Lee Enterprises says, Lee Enterprises says this, that the parent company of the Daily Progress and dozens of its other newspapers across the country have been cyber attacked. And it's not just that they can't print the newspaper, and it's not just that they can't put the laid out version of the newspaper online. I don't even get that. I get maybe that you can't print the newspaper. I don't understand why you can't put the laid out version online. But now they're saying that we may have risked the data of subscribers. What does that mean? Does that mean their names and email addresses, or does that mean their credit card information? What does that mean? I mean, we are left in this media and news, hellhole? This media and news, a drowning pit? The TV stations have nothing but 22 and 23-year-olds that are regurgitating press releases online and on their broadcasts. The newspaper, The Progress, is risking subscriber data. and can't even print a newspaper. The CVille is turned into the crossword puzzle.
I do love the crossword puzzle.
We have a market that is the second most expensive to live in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Charlottesville area.
Yeah.
And a market that's getting even more expensive. And we're going to tell you another story of what's driving those values. And we don't have, outside of what we're doing here, outside of what Sean Tubbs is doing, the occasional story on CVille tomorrow, a legitimate source of information.
Yeah.
What is happening? Just 2025 has started out into a level of confusion. We have a penny costing 3 cents to make. It costs 3 cents to make 1 cent. I can't even say that straight face. The Super Bowl last night, unless you were a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I don't know if I'm not a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but the Super Bowl last night was awful. It was absolutely awful. The commercials weren't that great. The game sucked. The halftime performance,
it all depends on whether you like.
Depends
Kendrick
on your
Lamar.
perspective. If you're a Kendrick Lamar fan, it was probably awesome. But I thought halftime performances were about showcasing generational talent. Talent that was able to captivate multi-generations that were watching the show.
Yeah.
You've seen that with Mariah Carey in the past. You saw that maybe with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake in the nipple fiasco, Nipplegate. Did we see that with Kendrick Lamar last night? Am I just an old fuddy-duddy now? Is that what it is?
I've always been. I mean, rarely do have the halftime performances catered to anything that I enjoy. That's just my odd taste in music.
Oh, man, it's insane. Lee Enterprises from Deep Throat. Weirdly, the cyber attack didn't ding the share price much. Possibly this is because the value of the newspaper side of the business, they have some other lines of business that are smaller in headcount and revenue, loses money consistently and is basically worthless. In addition, the vultures are circulating Lee Enterprises. Quint Media, an Indian media company, and the Hoffman family have built 10%-ish positions in Lee Enterprises. The Hoffmans publish such marquee titles as Florida Weekly and the Mancanic Island Town Crier. The DP situation is funnier than anything on its comics pages. Deep Throat also says this. What do you think the value of the Dingleberry skeleton is? His words, not mine. A decayed, half-built hotel in a city that has tons of hotel rooms soon to be built where the new hotel has no parking. I mean, maybe it will cost so much to do something with the site in its current condition that the parcel has almost no value. He also adds, if I were a phone scammer, I would be dying to get my hands on the Daily Progress subscriber list. Older folks who haven't been able to get themselves off of a $50 a month subscription to a worthless paper delivered by mail with a multi-day delay. Deep Throat right there, number one in the family.
Wise words.
2025 has started. How would you characterize the start of 2025 so far?
The dog sitting in the fire. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about, honestly.
I can find it, but I digress. There's a picture of a cartoon dog sitting in a room on fire, and in the next panel, he looks out at the viewer and says, "This is fine." Essentially saying, "Yeah, no big deal."
2025 is the dog sitting in the fire.
2025 is a dumpster fire, and everybody just going, it's fine.
Absolutely insane. And I'm a glass. Here I'll put it this way. I'm a glass is half full kind of guy. Mm-hmm. A guy that sees opportunity and volatility. The entrepreneur and businessman in me sees opportunity in the uncertainty of the first month of 2025. The father and husband in me sees is shaken at the core. The father and husband in me is shaken at the core, Judah. Mm-hmm. Where you have neighbors and friends and family and people you know trying to dox other friends and family and neighbors in the community they live within, trying to figure out political affiliation to boycott business and legitimate efforts.
People, let me expand on that. People wonder how we were ever in a place where the Nazis could have taken control, and neighbors and friends were giving up other neighbors and friends. And I hate to say it, but we're already there. Every one of us knows someone that would sell us out in a split second, either because they don't like the way we look, they don't like the color of our skin, they don't like our politics, be kind to your neighbors, people. You never know what they're capable of.
I started seeing that behavior extremely front and center last year when someone in our community, Dr. Meg Bryce, ran for the at-large seat in the Albemarle County School Board. And I watched as a large portion of not just Albemarle County, but a large portion of Central Virginia utilize some of the most reprehensible behavior possible with trying to keep her from winning an election. And now it's gotten to the point in 2025 where that reprehensible behavior is amplified even more. Insane. Kate Sharks, Queen of Ivy, how's your wife not sent you that meme when home with the boys? Deep Throat sends me the meme right here, the cartoon.
That's the one.
That's the one. The dog in the fire.
It's fine.
It's fine. Insane. And the hilarious thing about the Far Downers Reddit thread about the political affiliation is there's legitimately a sign at Far Downers that says, "No politics." A sign that's hanging at the bar that says, "No politics here."
That's definitely not enough to save you. As we pointed out in the recent school board election, or the special election, the election and the special election, because of the tragic passing of someone on the board, the school board, saying that you want to have a non-political discussion is
akin to you being conservative. Saying you want to have a non-political discussion is basically, when you live in Albemarle County, akin to you saying that you are center aisle or conservative.
And I just want to have a discussion about school stuff. Because it's not
Stacy Baker Patty, thank you for watching the program. Randy O'Neill and Tom Powell, we'll get to your comments in a matter of moments. This from Lonnie Murray. Doxing aside, what Elon Musk's team is doing is illegal and unconstitutional. Remember, Musk himself is a government contractor, and now he has direct access to information he can use against competitors. Lonnie Murray adds, anyone who thinks this is not problematic should prove it by posting their social security number, birth date, and bank account number, which is the exact information he got access to. Given that level of access to a bunch of teenagers with no security clearance is a recipe for identity theft on a massive scale. Lonnie Murray says it's bizarre that the Trump administration ran on a campaign of anti-corruption, but now are becoming the embodiment of everything they claim to oppose. Appreciate the comments from Lonnie Murray. I'm pretty sure with the Daily Progress, as a subscriber, I gave them everything besides my social security number. Credit card information, birthday, and email address, and zip code were certainly given.
Yeah.
And a cyber attack just hit the Daily Progress and subscribers and Lee Enterprise. How can you trust a subscription if this is what is happening?
To be fair, and I don't know how their subscription system works, but oftentimes and usually most companies that have some type of credit card taking.
But you don't know that for certain.
No, I don't.
Okay, you don't know that for certain.
But you also don't know for certain.
I don't know that for certain either. But it's enough of concern for me that I'm wondering about it.
Yeah, definitely.
The CEO of the company, Kevin Mowbray, is saying we are now focused on determining what information, if any, may have been affected by this situation. We are working to complete this investigation as quickly and as thoroughly as possible. We have notified law enforcement of the situation. The incident is under investigation.
Yeah.
And we will not be able to share information that could compromise our investigation or investigation by law enforcement. It's just, this is, they can't print the newspaper.
Yeah.
The news can't deliver the news. Do you understand that? The news can't deliver the news.
Yeah.
Sean Tubbs asked this question, has been posting this in response to some of the posts the news has made. With local government, like Charlottesville government, Albemarle County government, they have to publish notices in the paper based on what they're doing from a managing and running the government standpoint. Like they have to give notice. It's the rules, it's the law. For them to have this kind of vote or spend this kind of money or do this kind of zoning change, anything like that, they have to print it.
It has to be publicly available.
It has to be publicly available. So if you can't print the news, how is government?
That's an interesting question.
How is government doing anything? You have to print what you are doing and give notice.
Well, what happens if there's no paper? I mean, I'm not talking about in this particular situation, but what if nobody runs a newspaper? That's curious to me.
If the tree falls down in the woods and no one's around to hear it,
and no one's around to turn it into a printing press,
give it to some hackers to take your credit card information. YouTube. Wahoo89 making a crack at Donald Leach. Maybe he's secretly wishing to be a Virginia Tech professor. He also says, we have every right to know what the government is doing, how they are spending our money. They work for me, you and every U.S. citizen. We are their bosses. Holly Foster says, for me, January 2025 sucks. February is looking up. I'm home, and I get upstairs on my new hip wearing my I Love CVille t-shirt. Queen of Henrico published this, so she's given us permission to highlight. She unfortunately suffered an accident in the snow in the past snowstorm. We love Holly Foster. And her fantastic dog named Luke. She broke her hip, slipping on some ice in that last snowstorm we had. She has now gotten out of a rehabilitation center and is back home watching the I Love CVille show with the new hip. We sent her a care package that had I Love CVille shirts in it, and we did it because we love Holly Foster, and we appreciate her watching the program. Ay, mi madre. Topics. Judah Wickower, what's the next one?
Oh, what do we got? There is there's a recent safety audit of the Charlottesville schools that led to the conclusion that school resource officers should return to the schools.
Vanessa, I'm going to get to that topic in a matter of moments. Vanessa Parko asked this question. Vanessa Parko, I love Vanessa Parko. She says, cross burning was intended to evoke fear and intimidation in a very public way. Is doxing the modern equivalent of cross burning? Wow. And then she says, we need to be better.
We do.
And then she asked Lonnie Murray, Vanessa Parkhill asked Lonnie Murray this: is Musk a government contractor? Is he even getting paid, or is he an appointee? Randy O'Neill says delivery of the newspaper is so much more difficult. No drivers and gas is too darn expensive.
I mean, I used to deliver it when I was a kid. Didn't cost me anything in gas.
Well, you were on a bicycle.
I wasn't even on a bicycle.
You walked it?
My route was like a mile away. Not quite a mile away. I had a skateboard and a golden retriever.
And I would skateboard and a golden retriever. What do you do?
I would chuck the tennis ball down the sidewalk. He'd chase after it, and I'd hold on tight.
And throw the newspapers?
No. That was just to get me to the neighborhood, and then we just wander around the neighborhood and do my route.
Judah Wickower, a modern day Dennis the Menace over here, without the menace.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a menace.
A modern day, what's the opposite of menace? A modern day Dennis.
I did get to be in an ad though.
Oh.
The owner of the owner of a clothing store in Portland, Maine, was one of the recipients of the newspaper on my route, and asked if I wanted to be in an ad. So I got about 4 or 5 seconds of fame. It was fun.
The headline, Judah Wickower, that I have neglected as I got distracted here. Ginny Who, plenty started experiencing the doxing and being sold out by friends and family in 2020. She highlights this started happening in 2020. This is
been going on for longer than that.
This is part of the more of the collateral damage of COVID, ladies and gentlemen. It's even more. COVID and the pandemic have dehumanized communities. We got our human behavior was altered and changed when we were required by the government to stay to quarantine and to stay in our house. We were restricted from doing things like being around others. Could go to work, couldn't go to bars, could go to church, some of us could go to church because we went anyway.
I don't know if I would lay this at the feet of COVID.
Absolutely, I would lay it at the feet of COVID. So much collateral damage post-pandemic, the dehumanizing of human connection, the de-emphasizing of human connection, the extinguishing of human connection, the destruction of human connection. Absolutely, I lay it at the feet of COVID.
Well,
next headline, what do you got? Judah B. Wickower, jack of all trades.
Do we want to touch on the school resource officers?
Yeah, we should touch on that. The school board are finally saying this. Put the school resource officers in. The superintendent of schools has been begging for the police officers to get in the schools. Literally been begging for years.
So what I'm seeing is that the school board asked for the audit, and the audit suggested adding resource officers back to Charlottesville schools to make them a safer place to learn. And there's been pushback, and
the Gillikin gang is pushing back on the school resource officers. Pushing back against them, the Gillikin gang. The superintendent is saying we need them. School board members are saying we need them. What is going on here? I need you to help me understand this, okay? The school system says we need police officers at athletic events where the attendance is expected to surpass 250 people. But we're not going to use school resource officers for school, for actual school, where the attendance is the highest of anything tied to school. 2025, make it make sense. No, seriously.
It's fine.
2025, make it make sense. A penny costs 3 cents to make. A penny costs 3 cents to make. We need school resource officers at baseball games or basketball games when the attendance is over 250 people. But we don't need them at school itself. Absolute insanity. Insanity. Lee Enterprises, subscribe to our newspaper. We can't get you the news, though.
But we can give other people your information.
But we can't give your information to hackers. Insanity. 2025. We got a businesswoman that's pushing some weed and pushing some psychedelic mushrooms, and she's going to face 164 years in jail.
And also, we're going to take her house and wait for it to appreciate in value.
We're going to take her house. We're going to wait for it to appreciate in value, and then we're going to take the money that she owned from legitimate business operations. 2025. We got a judge. Put that lower third on screen. Judge Worrell. We got a judge presiding over a lawsuit in the city. A judge who lives in the city, whose home values will be impacted directly by how he judges on the lawsuit. A judge whose wife is a housing activist that campaigned for the new zoning ordinance and housing.
Yeah.
Who refuses to recuse himself from a lawsuit in the city. Can you help? Can you make that make sense for me?
Well, then you've got people defending Judge Worrell and saying, "Oh, the people who are bringing the suit are just doing this because they're looking for a way to get rid of the guy." And it's like, no, there's precedence, because as you have mentioned before, there were 4 judges who all chose to recuse themselves from almost the exact same suit in Northern Virginia, and it took a retired judge from outside of the area to come in and give impartial judgment, which is what a judge is supposed to be doing. And like you said, if Judge Worrell's wife is her participation in advocacy on housing issues and being a member of the city's Human Rights Commission, maybe there's some issue there that's worth looking at. And the lawyer would be remiss not to bring this up.
Can you make sure I'm in the frame correctly? I've been moving around here because I've been exasperated here. I think I slid over to the right. Do I need to slide over to the left? I apologize. That's on me. That's not you. Insane. It's insane. In Arlington, was it 3 judges that pieced out?
4.
It's 4?
I believe it was 4.
4 judges that lived in Arlington, Virginia, said we should not offer an opinion on this case because we live in Arlington. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
In the city of Charlottesville, that ain't happening. And in the city of Charlottesville, the judge's better half was a housing advocate. Takes 3 cents to make 1 cent. 2025. What's the next?
There is some question too about his previous judgments, and not just about whether he should be recusing himself. There's some. What was it? I believe he, at one point, had told the claimants that they were too early to file what they were trying to file, and later told them they were too late.
1:30. We got to go to the next headline. What's the next headline? Is this the 1 cent to make 3 cents to make 1 cent?
This is fiber internet.
Okay, you give us that tidbit that I found absolutely fascinating. So I'll set the stage here, and then you give us the tidbit, okay? Fiber internet, broadband, let's just call it internet, okay? The layman's term, internet, is becoming more ubiquitous and consistent everywhere.
And it's hardly surprising that it would push quite a lot of things, including job creation, housing value growth, and business density.
Okay, get ready to give us those tidbits here. The home values in Central Virginia for outer county areas that otherwise were not on consistent internet or strong internet, they're significantly upticking in value because internet's becoming more consistent and ubiquitous and reliable.
Yeah.
And as whether it's CenturyLink, whether it's Firefly, whether it's Ting, whether it's Comcast, Xfinity, whatever it is, as they become more legitimate or efficient with their reach to homes in Central Virginia, homes are popping in value. What's the number?
It's hardly surprising. The availability of fiber broadband, fiber internet, contributed to an estimated $4 million annual increase in housing values in the Charlottesville area, enhancing wealth for homeowners and expanding the local tax base.
And and make sure that lower third is on screen.
Yeah.
And you know which homes are going to uptick in value the most? Which ones?
The expensive ones?
No.
What do you mean?
No. The homes that are going to uptick in value the most with more ubiquitous broadband and consistent internet are the homes that are in the outer county areas that were the least expensive ones, the most affordable ones.
Yeah.
And as those homes get better connectivity,
They've got the most
those
to grow.
homes are going to increase in value, which is yet another headwind for a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yet another one. Give them the tidbits on what it does to jobs. And cite your source on this.
This is from Business Wire. The title of the article is New Fiber Broadband Association Report. Fiber fuels 35% of Charlottesville job growth and 4 million increase in housing value. Study highlights the dramatic benefits of fiber internet on residents and businesses. And so aside from housing value growth, fiber internet accounted for approximately 35% of Charlottesville's private sector job growth between 2015 and 2019, adding roughly 735 new jobs, especially in professional, scientific, and technical industries. And in terms of business density, Charlottesville ranks highly in business density, a key indicator of small business health compared to Virginia cities of a similar size, thanks to reliable, high-speed broadband enabling access to global markets. And Nelson recently did the same thing. They got
Friend of the program,
fiber
Jesse
internet
Rutherford.
for their residents. Because Jesse Rutherford is a very smart man.
Friend of the program,
and
Jesse Rutherford.
Knows that in this day and age, you need fiber internet if your city's going to remain if your city's going to grow and remain. What's the word I'm looking for?
All right, two other headlines left. One headline I'm going to say for the Jerry and Jerry show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. I encourage you to watch the show tomorrow, weather permitting. The forecast calls anywhere from sunshine and light rain to 12 inches of snow sometime tomorrow. Prepare yourself. You're going to need a long sleeve shirt and a quarter zip or a Canadian Goose parka at your disposal tomorrow.
You never know.
You never know.
It's always exciting.
Sunshine and light rain, get your umbrella out or make sure you wear your Canadian Goose parka and your mittens. So we'll see if we're on air tomorrow. But if we are, 10:15 a.m., the Jerry and Jerry show, we'll talk Andrew Rohde's success. What was the stat I gave you for the headlines? Am I on a one-shot?
Nope. You want me?
No. His 12 games, you could speak to Andrew Rohde's tremendous success on the hardwood. Hasn't he impressed you, Judah Wickower? What's impressed you the most about Andrew Rohde?
I would say his last 12 games.
Good job, Judah. That's the right answer. And what has he done in the last 12 games, Judah?
He's had 67 assists and 8 turnovers. I mean, that's impressive.
Judah Wickower is going to take over the sports commentary on the I Love CVille network in no time. You're exactly
All I need
right.
is someone to write stuff down for me.
Andrew Rohde, 67 assists and how many? 8 turnovers over the last 12 games? Unbelievable. Last year, Andrew Rohde was being martyred, tarred and feathered. And this year, Andrew Rohde is running an offense and a program that perhaps is turning the corner. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the Jerry and Jerry show. And we'll close with this little item, this little tidbit that I found fascinating. David Gully, an economics professor at Bentley University, said the estimated cost of making a penny at around 3 cents is an economic burden. It costs 3 cents to make 1 cent. There in circulation right now, 1,114,000,000 pennies in circulation. It costs $192 million a year to produce pennies. $192 million a year to produce pennies. Viewers and listeners, I don't know if this is the case for other people. Is this the case for you? I walk down the street, and if a penny's on the ground, I do not pick it up.
Most people don't.
Do you pick up pennies on the ground?
Sometimes.
I don't pick up pennies on the ground. You picking up that penny on the ground, walking on the street, have made your life and your health more susceptible to bacteria and disease by picking up a penny off the ground.
Okay.
It costs
COVID
more.
warrior.
It costs more on your body wear and tear to bend over, squat down, and bend your knees to pick up a penny than the worth of that penny in your pocket.
I call it exercise.
Fair enough. Touche, Judah Wickower. The Monday edition of the I Live CVille show. For Judah Wickower, my name is Jerry Miller. So long, everybody.